Attention bowlers, we are going to get started. Please finish your warm-up frames. We'll be changing to scoring in just a moment. Welcome to Lakeside Lanes in Manchester, New Hampshire for another Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour match. How are you, everybody? My name is Steve Kelly. It's great to have you along. Today it's going to be Bryan Hebert challenging Nick Charest in Class E North at Manchester, New Hampshire on Candia Road. And the match format today is going to be 5 strings of Candlepin bowling, with 2 points per string and 4 for total pinfall. And if there's any ties, they'll be divided in 2 as per standard ACST rules. This is a regular match season, or regular season match. Regular match season, yeah, totally. Bryan Hebert is the away bowler today from Boutwell's Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire with a record of 48 and 118 by my calculations. He recently faced Paul Kravitz at Boutwell's Bowling Center last week. He's here at Lakeside Lanes challenging Nick Charest, who we will see in just a few moments, but the away bowler has been chosen to go first by the home bowler, and Bryan Hebert will start out with an 8 drop. That's the 3 and the 9 for Bryan Hebert. And for the spare, he almost gets it. He'll leave the 9. So it was a good shot on the 3-9. The back pin just didn't go. Bryan will miss the remaining pin, and we'll take a 9 box to start things out. That's right, it was a 3rd ball on the frame, and that is allowed in Candlepin bowling. If you're not familiar with the sport, we allow 3 balls per frame. If you knock down all 10 on the 3rd ball and it isn't a strike or a spare, it is what is called a 10 box, which scores 10. There's an 8 drop for Bryan Hebert. That's the 4 and the 7 with a piece of deadwood. Deadwood is allowed in Candlepin for spare leave opportunities. And Bryan will play that wood, and he'll go off to the left and leave the 4, taking the 7. And it will be a 9. That's 18 through 2. Welcoming you to this match today. So each bowler will bowl 5 frames at a time, and then they will switch, alternating. When those 5 frames are up, Bryan Hebert will shave off the 10. And Hebert, after a misfire on the 1st ball, he almost gets the spare. He leaves the 5 wiggling. That's a good bid. So Candlepin bowling based out of New England and Canada is a little bit different from 10-pin. We don't clear the deadwood around the pins, and there are 3 balls per frame if no strikes or spares are thrown. There is Bryan Hebert's 3rd 9 box in a row for 27 through 3. The game is much more difficult than 10-pin with more entropy and much smaller targets. There are no oil patterns in Candlepin. To address a recent question I had on the 3-ball spare YouTube page. And oil is almost not a thing in Candlepin, and oil patterns certainly not so. And Hebert for the 2nd spare shot. He mixes down a few more. He's got the 1, the 2, the 7, and the 8 to deal with now. And Bryan will take a 6. Through 4, he's at 33. ACST bowlers, as of April 2026, presently average between 82 and 128. So the ACST is for bowlers of any skill level. And there's Bryan Hebert, and he'll take a strike. Well done. That's not a bad way to sit. So with that strike keyed in, Bryan Hebert is at 43, plus a strike fill coming up when he returns for his 2nd half. But he will sit for the moment, 5 boxes through. 3 for 5 in the head pin, 43 through 5, with a fill pending. And coming up next here is Nick Charest. He'll start on the left lane on lane 3. Bryan Hebert started on lane 4. Or not. No, never mind. He's just doing practice slides on both, I think. Always keeping me on my toes. So subtitles and live captions are available should you need them. YouTube should have a transcript feature handy as well, and I'll call the match for you in audio form, as well as keep the scoreboard updated on your screen. My scoreboard here is unofficial. The bowlers make the final calls on scores. There's a 4-drop for Nick Charest to open up. A little off the head pin. And Nick will just slightly go off to the right. And Nick will turn it into the whack-whacks for a 6-box through 1. You know, if you work in IT and you're typing a UNC path, you type whack-whack, 2 backslashes. That's what that lead looked like. 6 through 1 for Nick Charest compared to 9 through 1 for Bryan Hebert. Charest is on the head pin, and he'll mix down 8. He might mix down 9. He might mix down 10. Maybe. Maybe. I'm still saying maybe because you never know. It's going to be a 9-drop, like basically a 9.5 drop for Nick Charest. And for the spare, yeah, he's got it. Nick Charest with a spare through 2. He's at 16 in a bonus. Let's have a look at that once again. That wiggling 4, holding on for dear life. No strike, but how about a spare on the single? That wood makes it a more difficult shot than it looks. 16 in a bonus through 2 for Nick Charest. So he'll go off to the right. He'll take 3 on that spare fill. 19 through 2 for Nick. And he's on it for the spare. He'll take the pocket just full enough to spread around, but the spare was no issue based on that shot for Nick Charest. So it's a 3 fill, but he gets another chance at a bigger fill with another spare, a double spare. Look at that beautiful shot. Here we go. And Nick turns it into a 5-drop. It's a Caleri and a 5 fill. 34 through 3. With a piece of wood that is going to require removal, maybe, unless it rolls back. It could. Actually, it's picking up a little bit of speed. Let's see what happens here. It appears it's going to largely settle towards the middle of the lane. As to whether it's in or out, I think it is just slightly out. Bryan will have a look. Nick Charest, it's been a little while since we've had him on the program. He's in Class E North Division 4 this year. I last covered him in the 2024-2025 season at Leda Lanes. Nick Charest, season record currently of 63 and 105. He's bowled 12 matches this season. Away record 37-61. Home record is 26 and 44 at Lakeside Lanes. Nick Charest on the Caleri on the left side, named after Bob Caleri of Lexington, Massachusetts. And he's on the head pin. He'll shave off a few. He'll leave the 7, the 4, and the 9. Charest just a little bit off to the left. It'll be a 7-box for Nick Charest, 41 through 4. As he throws that pin back. 1 to go. Nearly matching Bryan Hebert's 43 in a pending fill. If he can get a mark in the 5th, he'll have an early advantage. This is the march to 2 points in the first game. First game of 5. Here is Nick Charest. Off to the left of the head pin. 4 down, 6 up. 1, 7, 10, 3, 6, 8. And it'll cap the wood off to the right of the target, and the target pin is all that's left. Just the head pin for Nick Charest for a 10 for a possible 51.5 and a 50 guarantee. With that 9, it puts him at 50. So Nick Charest through 5 at 50 with 2 marks. A spare 3, spare 5, 6, 7, 9. And Bryan Hebert, 43 and a bonus through 5. Can come back with a 7 fill to tie. And that's your score update through 5 here on the ACST. Presented by 3 Ball Spare. I'm Steve Kelly on the mic. Great to have you along today. Here's Bryan filling a spare. And it's going to be certainly a few. It'll be a 4 fill. So far, it is on a strike fill. To fill that 4 fill, well, more than a 4 fill, to fill that strike, that is, he'll take a nice 9 fill. That puts Bryan Hebert at 52 through 5, an advantage of 2 through 5. And Bryan Hebert will take a 10 box. Strike 9-10 for 62 through 6 for Bryan. Talking about Bryan Hebert, he has a season record of 48-118. He's bowled 12 matches of the 18-match season. And we'll go off to the right of the head pin. Take the 6 and the 10. 2 go down. And he'll take the opposite side. Now he's got 6 in the center. And to finish it off, why not make it a 7 drop for a 7 box. A very nice 69 through 7 for Bryan Hebert. Bryan Hebert's high single is 108, high series 474. On the road, he's 20 and 78. Home, he's 28 and 40. Averaging 89 for the season. And Hebert on the head pin. He'll take everything down but the 10. Nice 9 drop for Bryan Hebert. He's got wood down there, and it looks favorable. Yeah, I like the look of that. But it will depend on where this wood settles. It was close. Now it's far. Might roll maybe another couple inches towards the pin. This is the painful part of bowling, waiting for the dead wood to settle. It's dramatic. It's tedious. But it's all for the love of the game. Bryan Hebert for the single. Plays the wood, it deflects. Hit it a little too high. Probably would have redlined it or gone a little lower to take the 10. And that's a 9 for Hebert for 78 through 8. Bryan Hebert currently out of Class D North Division 3, bowls out of Boutwell's Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire for this season. He's currently 4th in his division and 11th in the wild card seedings. And Bryan Hebert will mix down 6, and he's got a piece of wood rolling out of play. 3, 7, 9, 10. Appears to be rolling back towards the 7 pin. Might even be picking up speed, but it will get slowed down by that extra piece of wood. If it can get over the lip, it'll get an extra speed boost, but unfortunately it looks like it's going to guide both pieces of wood towards the pit. Not quite, though. They'll stay around the center. Might help, might not. Playing the 3 is still your object. Hebert goes for the 3, just a little bit off to the left. Takes a sleeper, leaves the 3, 7, 10. Seven box for Hebert, 85 through 9. Bryan Hebert recently faced Paul Kravitz at Boutwell's Bowling Center. I covered that match last week. And Hebert will shave off a few here. We'll take 4 down. Hebert is just a little full on the head pin, leaves the 4, 6, 3, 7. In that match against Paul Kravitz, Bryan Hebert took 4 points of the 457 series. 11 head pins, 3 splits, 1 strike, 6 spares, 8 tens. That'll be a 7 box for Bryan Hebert. Game 1 puts him at 92. Here's your score update through 10 frames for Bryan Hebert, 92 in the first game. 5 for 10 in the head pin with 1 split, 1 mark, a strike with a 9 fill. A lot of 9 boxes and 1 10 box. Charest comes back with a 50 half. Has to get to 92 or greater to take any points. 1 to tie, 2 to win. Here is Nick Charest. On the pocket, drops 7, 5, 8, 9. Had some issues with the Wi-Fi at Lakeside today, so in lieu of having a front-facing cam, I rearranged the zoom camera a little bit. And the camera that I'd normally be using for the front camera, I'm actually using as a hotspot for streaming today. So if you're wondering why I don't have the usual, face camera, it's because it's serving other purposes right now. Would have it otherwise. Nick Charest for the spare shot. He gets deflected for the wood. Leaves the 5, 8, 9. And he'll take it straight on, though, so he can play it clean, play it direct for a 10 box. 60 through 6 for Nick Charest. Nick Charest with a season average of 93.3, an away average of 92.4, a home average of 94.8, high single 116, high series 506 for the season. He bowls out of Class E North Division 4 out of Lakeside Lanes. He's currently 3rd place in his division and the 8th in the wild card. Here comes Nick Charest. A little bit off, but takes 6 down on the mix. It's the 1, 3, 8, 9. And Nick's a little bit off to the right of the target. Nick Charest for the season, 20 strikes, 77 spares, 87 tens, 30% perfect box percentage, 5,603 seasonal pinfall. Charest off to the left of the it leaves the 1, the 3, and the 9 for a 7 box. That puts him at 67 through 7. Nick Charest on average goes 16.5 for 50 on the head pin. Each match was 8 splits per match. Splits are contingent on the head pin stat. And Nick's off to the left of the head pin. He leaves the 1, the 8, and the 9. The isosceles triangle. Orange pin, head pin. And on the isosceles triangle, he's off to the right. Ooh, and that ball tailed off in an interesting way. That will be a 7 for Nick Charest. That's 74 through 8. Nick Charest has 2 pinfall wins for the season. His past 5 home matches, he's taken 26 points, averaging 5.2 points per match on average, recent performance analysis. In his past 5 matches, he's totaled 25-51 pins. There's Nick Charest, who will shave off a few more. 3 down to be exact, a half Worcester plus a friend. Charest is working on a cluster of pins. He'll leave 4 on the deck for a 10 box opportunity. 1, 3, 4, 7. The result of the play is a 7 box for Nick Charest. That puts him at 81 through 9. It's a race to 92. He'll need a mark. 10 box won't do it alone. Nick. To the right, he takes 5. It's a Caleri. Nick will take the 4 and the 7 off, leaving the 1, the 2, and the 9. For the 10 box, it'll be a 10 for Nick Charest. It'll be a difference of 1 in the first game. 91 for Nick Charest. 92 for Bryan Hebert. Those scores are confirmed. So look at that. So Bryan Hebert holds on. Nick Charest with a spare 3, spare 5, a couple of 10 boxes, a bunch of 7 boxes. But the result of the game is 2 points for Bryan Hebert. And we're now going to move on to game 2. You're on the ACST. I'm Steve Kelly on the call. Great to have you along. Up next is Bryan Hebert to start off game 2. Bryan Hebert with 2 points so far. Let's see if he can continue his quest for points. And here we are, Bryan Hebert. Missed the head pin by a little bit. Takes 4 down to start out. Goes into the gutter, and it will be -1. So it's going to be a 7 box for Bryan Hebert with that -1, 7 through 1. You're watching some classy North action on the Atlantic Candlepin Single Store, brought to you by 3 Ball Spare. Here at Lakeside Lanes in Manchester, New Hampshire. Here's Bryan Hebert on the pocket. A very wiggly 7 drop. A setback split. 7-8-5. Oh, and the 8 holds on. All 3 were touched. The 8 was just hit gently. It's a 9 for Bryan Hebert for 16 through 2. If in the off chance you enjoy this content, I encourage you to consider subscribing to this channel to help us grow. And if you have any questions or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Please. By all means. Had a very nice conversation the other day about oil patterns in Candlepin and the lack thereof. That was funny. It's always funny when you have folks coming in from the 10-pin world and they have many questions. They have several questions from a certain meme about that. And yeah, and it's always interesting to identify the little differences. I was at to modify my monologue a little bit to talk about the differences between Candlepin and 10-pin. It's always a whole fun set of conversations, for sure. Bryan Hebert took a 10 box there, in case you weren't paying attention. And here's the next first ball of the 4th frame. He'll split 7, 4, 6, 7. And Hebert will play the wood. He'll take the right pin. No deflection to the left, or nothing of instance in terms of the bouncing action. And there's a piece of wood that is rolling. Actually, might roll back in. Still out at the moment. Yeah, definitely out. Nick will do the honors. So currently 8 and counting for Bryan Hebert. No mark. 3rd ball is next. Looking at a potential 36 through 4. 34 guarantee. 2 for 4 in the head pin, 2 split so far for Bryan Hebert, with 1 box to go after this 3rd ball of the 4th frame before we say hello to Nick Charest again. In case you missed it, Bryan Hebert won the first game by 1 with a 92. Nick Charest took a 91. Bryan Hebert with a clean shot on the 4-7. And he'll get that for a 10. 2 X's, 36 through 4, a double 10. We are at Lakeside Lanes, located off of exit 1 on Route 101 in Manchester, New Hampshire. I like to think of it if you're going to UNH from 293 but decide to go bowling instead and veer off to the first exit you see. It's Lakeside Lanes on Candia Road. And there is Bryan Hebert's first ball. Not quite on the head pin, got a decent mix out of it. It's a 6 drop, 1, 2, 7, 8. Hebert misses the target pin to the right, hits a piece of wood in the back, gets nothing. For the retry, maybe for a third 10 box, not quite, similar kind of ball. It's a 6 box for Bryan Hebert for 42 through 5. 7, 9, 10, 10, 6 for Bryan Hebert, 92, and an in-progress 42 for 134. A game and a half in. 2 for 5 in the head pin with 2 splits for Bryan Hebert. That's his story, a game and a half through this match in a 5-game series at Candlepin Bowling, and it's back to Nick Charest here in a couple of seconds here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour out of Lakeside Lanes in Manchester, New Hampshire. Great to have you along. Presented by 3 Ball Spare. Facebook, YouTube, Reddit, you know, usual spiel, usual places, the usual suspects. And here's our usual suspect for today, Mr. Nick Charest. Nick chops 2. It's a half Worcester on the left side. A poke out of the 2 and the 8. And the second ball is into the hole where the first ball went. You gotta love that. That's every bowler's favorite kind of shot. When you get the half Worcester and then that hole just kind of becomes a vacuum, sucking in every ball that you throw afterwards. The goal is to knock it at 2 here for the third ball. And Nick will do that, but he'll get a few out of that. It will be a 5 for Mr. Charest. Lakeside Lanes opened on November 27th, 1959, about 66-ish years ago. Lakeside Lanes is owned by TV star Tim Lipke of the old Candlepin Stars and Strikes, Candlepin Bowling with Don Gillis days. Look up Tim Lipke on YouTube and you'll get the idea. There's a 7 split for Nick Charest. That's the 4-6-2. Charest will shoot for the 2 and not get the 6. So he fired on the 2 and the 4, probably to go just ever so slightly to the left of the 2 pin to kick over to the 6, but the action just wasn't there. It'll be a 9 for Nick, 14 through 2. Lakeside Lanes has inherited a lot of bowlers recently between the closure of Park Place Lanes in 2023 and the closure of Lita Lanes in 2025. So it's a busy place. A lot of leagues full of people, I got to tell you that. It's a 3 drop for Nick Charest so far. It's half Worcester plus a friend. The friend being the 5 pin. So he took out the 2, the 8, and the 5. Talking with a bowling teammate last night here at Lakeside for league, and was trying to teach him the pin numbers. And it's always funny when you're trying to, if you're not familiar with the pin numbers, it's 1 in the center, then the next row back is 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10 rows of pins. And it takes a little while to kind of be able to just name those, you know, off the cuff. And it was funny just talking to my teammate Dominic Mariano, and he was getting the hang of it, but it took him a little while. So Nick missed the mark on the second ball. On the third ball, he takes out a few more, leaves the 1, the 4, and the 7 for a 7 box for 21 through 3. Lakeside has a little bar and dining room called the 25th Lane, which features an impressively stocked bar for the relatively small space it's in, but do check out the bar at Lakeside Lanes, run by great people, and always be sure to tip your bartender if you're here at Lakeside Lanes. I like the Sun Cruisers, if I had to recommend a drink. And there's a 6 drop and a 6 split for Nick Charest. That's the 2, 4, 7, and 6. Charest drifts off to the left a little bit, leaves the 2 and the 6. Becomes a 9 for Nick, 30 through 4. 36 through 4 for Bryan Hebert. We are just about closing in on a game and a half complete. 15 boxes through. Let's see what Nick Charest can cook up and maybe set on a mark here. First ball, starting now. He'll drift off to the left. He'll leave 4 in the center and 3 in the back for a 3-drop. Here comes Charest. Oh, buries it into the pocket, but it goes a little too full. He leaves the 2, the 6, and the 10. There'll be a 7 for Nick. That's 37 through 5. That leaves an opening for Bryan Hebert here. 37 through 5 for Bryan Hebert and 42 through 5 for Nick. Or excuse me, 42 through 5 for Bryan Hebert and 37 through 5 for Nick Charest. In the string, Bryan Hebert leads by 5, and in the total, Bryan Hebert leads by 6. So still a close match no matter what. It's only 2 points that are locked up at the moment. We're playing for 2 right now in this string, and the 4 for total pinfall will be decided by the end of the match. We'll just be checking in on the totals every 5 boxes or so to keep you in the loop. Oh, here comes Bryan Hebert. That was fast. Probably maybe could have taken an extra second or 2. He'll shave off the 7-pin. Actually thought that was a practice slide he was doing. I didn't realize that was a real ball he was throwing. He'll take 1 on the first ball, 2 on the second ball. It'll be a 7 for Bryan Hebert through the 6th for 49. Hebert takes 3 out on the left side. Back rear triangle, 4, 7, 8, knocked out. Next to Lakeside Lanes is Mojo's, which is a great little place that does breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Has Guinness on tap. Walking distance from Lakeside Lanes in the same parking lot. Bryan Hebert leads the 1, 2, 9, and 10. So Boutwell's last week, Lakeside this week. Don't get them confused. There's an 8 box for Bryan Hebert, 57 through 7. Not too far away from Lakeside Lanes is also the Dairyfield Restaurant and Country Club. If you're in the market for well-priced drinks, snacks, and food, that's a really great option as well. There's also the Goldenrod down the road. That was an 8, I thought. Just had a scoring check for Nick Charest. Thought it was an 8. Very gingerly guided that in case he missed it. Bryan Hebert with a 3-drop on the first ball and a spare on the second ball. The 3-drop spare is secured for Bryan Hebert. That's 67 and a bonus. Let's double click on that once again. 4 in the front, 3 on the right in the back. On the 1-3 pocket, full but not too full. It's gone. On the spare, on the spare fill, that'll be a 1 fill for Bryan Hebert. 68 through 8, full on the head pin on the second ball, leaves the 2, 3, 6. And Bryan will take 1 and leave 2 for an 8 box for 76 through 9. Lakeside Lanes has quite a few unique and fun tournaments, like the Best 5-of-7 handicap event, the Dave Dunn Memorial Tournament, the Blame Your Partner Tournament, new this year, and their Classic Thanksgiving Doubles Tournament, which is always super popular with many, many shifts. Lakeside Lanes posts on their Facebook page quite frequently about that information, so do be sure to follow their Facebook page for all the latest information. Bryan Hebert for the spare shot. He took 4 out on the first ball, and he leaves 3 on the second ball, 1-5-3 for a 10 box. He's going to be around 80-something for this game. With that 7 box, that puts him at 83 for the second game. Through 2, Bryan Hebert's at 175. Nick Charest is at 37. In the string, it's a 46-point difference, 5 boxes ahead for Bryan Hebert. So Nick Charest needs a 46.5. in order to tie. Anything higher than 46 to win. 1 point or 2 points, respectively. Bryan Hebert went 2 for 10 on the head pin. Both of those head pin shots were splits. He had a spare and a 1 fill. And two 10 boxes. And two 10 boxes. Nick Charest is warming up and getting ready to fire next. And here he is. Nick Charest will start with a late falling 4-drop. One, two, three, 4, 5, 7. And he's on the 1-3 pocket. Leaves the 2, 4, 7. Just mixed a little weird. And Nick has requested a check on that pin. I think it's in. I'm pretty sure Bryan's going to turn right around. Yep. 2, 4, 7 left for Nick Charest. You wouldn't want to aim for that pin anyway. It is possible to miss and hit it, but, you know. Oh, and he's gonna. Yeah, that deflection was what I was worried about. It'll be 8 for Nick Charest and the 6 for 45. And Nick Charest on the 1-2 pocket is the 3, 5, 6, and the 10. It's a right side check mark. Charest for the spare, goes for the 5, takes all but the object pin. Charest makes it a 9-box. 54 through 7 for Nick Charest now. He's down by 3 to Bryan Hebert's 57 through 7. So it will be a foot race to the end. 3 10 boxes in a row is enough for Nick Charest to get 2 points. A mark would help him in the total, though. But the difference in the total and the string differences of the totals is very close. Hebert leads by 30 and leads in the total and leads by 29 string. Couple boxes ahead of Nick Charest as Nick puts down 6, 1, 3, 6, 10. Right side 4 horsemen with an orange pin head pin. Charest is lightly on the head pin on the outside, nudges it down. It goes into the 3. He leaves the 6 and the 10. And Nick will make it a 10 box. His first 10 of the 3 10s required to win the second game. That's 64 through 8 for Nick Charest and 68 through 8 for Bryan Hebert. Here comes Nick Charest. A little off to the right, pokes the 6 out. For the spare shot. Oh, and goes into the hole. Just like the half Lister, the 4-drop, 6-drop hole can be very similar. So now Nick Charest will be looking just to get pins here. If it's not a 10 box, it'll be a required mark in the 10th to take points. He'll take a few more out and leave 4 in the center and 1 in the back. That's a 5 box for Nick Charest. Center diamond and 10. 69 through 9. So the stage is set here in the final box. He'll need a mark and a decent fill to reach 83 or higher. 83 to tie, anything higher to win. It's away. In the back left, 3 down, 7 up. Center diamond, 6 triangle. Next ball determines the winner. And he's on it for the spare. There we go. Now we've accelerated the excitement here with a spare for Nick Charest in the 10th. He's at 79 in a bonus through 10. Might be able to squeak by with a steal. And watch the shot again. Nick Charest on the 1-3 pocket, a little full but not too full. That seems to be the story today on shots like those. Nick Charest is working on the final dagger. He'll shave off 4, looks like. And what does that mean for us? 83, it's a tie for Nick Charest and Bryan Hebert. Yes, that is confirmed. I'm seeing 2 83s up there. So it's 3 points for Bryan Hebert and 1 point for Nick Charest. Nick Charest did make it exciting. He got close. He got the required mark. Just that fill just mixed a little odd. So it's close, and look at that total. It's a difference of 1. Bryan Hebert just has it by only 1 in this exciting Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour match. Moving on to game 3 of 5. Bryan Hebert will resume on lane number 4. Watching the ACST in Class E North, it's Bryan Hebert at Nick Charest on Friday, April 3rd, 2026. Here we go. Bryan Hebert will mix down more than 5. Not in the head pin, but we'll get a split credit out of that. 7 go down. It is the 6, the 8, and the 10. Pretty when it goes. Play the wood in some way, maybe off the cap or get a bounce or do something kind of like that, but not quite. Bryan Hebert will take the back sleeper pin and leave the 6 and the 10. Goes into the channel. That will be an 8 box for Bryan. 8 through 1. Bryan will shave off, a little more than 2. It's still a symmetrical shot. 4 in the center, 7 and 10. A 4 drop. Second ball goes where the first ball went, on the 6-9 vicinity. The neighborhood of the 6-9. Looking to finish this off, Bryan Hebert will make it an 8 box through 2, 2 8s in a row, 16 through 2. The Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour is a traveling speed league with 18 rounds of play. It's a season of Candlepin bowling among bowlers sorted into classes and divisions, calculated based on total bowlers as well as averages of the bowlers. Started by Frank DeLuca and Mike Machichi and Rich Lamone in about 2016 or so. Bryan Hebert will take down 8. 5-10 leave. Bryan will, just barely, well, the 5 is untouched, but it looks like it might have just gotten got a bit of a road rash from the wood behind it. Bryan Hebert will take a 9 for 25 through 3. In the ACST, there's a maximum of 14 available points per match. As previously stated, 2 points are awarded to the winner of each game. The bowler whose cumulative total is the highest results in an additional 4 points awarded. A tie and a string will award each bowler 1 point. A tie and total pinfall results in 2 points for each bowler. There's a 7-10 split for Bryan Hebert, an 8 drop. Hebert on the 7-10 split. Play the wood. Oh, and the wheels almost came to take out the 7, but they ended up in the ditch. Be a 9 or a 10 for Bryan Hebert. Ends up being a 10. 35 through 4 for Bryan Hebert with that 10 box. Hebert off to the right. He leaves the 1, 7, 10, 2, 9. It's a 5 drop. Oh, nice spare for Bryan Hebert. He'll methodically take them all out for 45 through 5. And let's actually look at this again because I want to see how that went. Inside or outside of the head pin? Inside of the pocket. Took them all out. That was a pretty shot for Bryan Hebert. That's 45 and a bonus through 5 for Bryan. 2 for 5 in the head pin with 3 splits. That first box was a no head pin split stat. Kind of rare, but it can happen. 220 halftime total for Bryan Hebert plus a fill. It's now Nick Charest's turn. Here he is, Nick Charest, who has 1 point so far today. Takes 6 out, 1, 3, 9, 10. And Nick's a little full in the head pin. He takes all but the sleeper pin and the 9 pin out. Good bid, just didn't quite work for him. Probably would have put the ball a plank to the right. Nick makes that a 9 box through 1. Charest, first ball, second frame. Moves the 6 pin narrowly. He'll take 3 out. Ball's a little off target, takes the 4 and the 7 out. For the 10 box, Nick fires, it'll be a 5. 14 through 2 for Nick Charest. Bryan Hebert leads in the second frame, head-to-head by 2, 16 to Nick Charest, 14. It was a thrilling tie in the second game, 83 to 83. Came down to the final box, down to 1 bonus ball for Nick Charest. Just the fill just wasn't quite enough to push him over the edge. He had a 4 fill on the spare. Here's Nick. 1-3. 1-3 pocket mixes down 6. He's got the accordion left side, the 4, 5, 7, 8. This will be an interesting one if it goes. Let's take a look at this. And he'll shave off nothing. He'll hit the wood to the right. I would play between the 4 and the 5. And Nick will take 2, leave 2 for an 8 box for 22 through 3. Nick will take 2. Take the 2 and the 4. 2 drops so far. pocket on this. It'll go. He'll shave a few more off. He's got the right side 4 horsemen plus the 5. Charest makes it a 5 box for 27 through 4. Nick Charest, 12 matches done so far this season. This will be his 13th of the 18-match regular season with a record of 63 and 105. Nick Charest averages 93.3 versus Bryan Hebert's 89 average. 6 go down for Nick. 1, 2, 4, 8. Oh, just a little full in the head pin. Again, maybe a plank or 2 to the left, and that would have been money there. That would have been a spare. 2 in the 4 left for Nick to sit on a 9 box for 36 through 5 for Nick Charest. Bryan Hebert with 45 through 5 plus a fill. It's 220 for Bryan Hebert and a bonus, and 210 for Nick Charest, your halftime score update. Bryan Hebert currently with a confirmed 3 points, and Nick Charest with confirmed 1. And let's continue here. Here's Bryan Hebert working on a spare fill, and he'll mix down a couple. He'll mix down 5. He'll get a 5 fill. Let's see what the next ball brings. Bryan Hebert will leave the 1, the 2, and the 3. And it'll be a 7 for Bryan Hebert for 57 through 6. And Hebert will take the 4 out for a 1 drop. Next ball, full punch. 7, 10, 6, 2, 3. Three go down, 2 stay up. That's an 8 box for Bryan Hebert for 65 through 7. Bryan Hebert, who averages away 88.5 for the season, has gone 1 over and 1 under so far with a 92 and an 83. On the head pin, Bryan Hebert, it's gonna come on the 6. Oh, if the 6 had fallen just slightly differently, it would have been a strike. But the 9 pin is there, and it's a single pin spare opportunity. Here comes a spare opportunity coming up for Bryan Hebert. It looks good, and it is good. The spare is in for Bryan Hebert. That's 75 and a bonus through 8. Let's watch the shot again. Plenty of wood around it. Pretty much no wrong way to hit that aside from the right side cap of the rightmost wood where it could have been a question mark. But Bryan Hebert played the left side of it and just nudged it down. 75 and a bonus through 8 for Bryan. Bryan Hebert's working on a mark. On the 1-2 pocket, everything but the 6 once again. Deja vu, just less wood. 9 fill. Big 19 and 84 through 8. And Hebert will get a double spare in a very similar fashion. It's his 3rd mark of the match. He's at 94 through 9. Look at this. Would you look at that? Guided in by the wood. Hebert working on a spare. Oh, and it's another big fill. It will be another 9 fill. A second 19 for Bryan Hebert. The 7 pin is standing now. 103 and a bonus through 9. Hebert will cap the wood, and he'll get 3 marks in a row. That puts him out 113 and counting for Bryan Hebert. That cap of the wood was the key there. May not have time to show you this. It looks like he's getting ready to fire. Yeah, look at that. All right, the result of the final fill is going to be a 4-drop. Yep, that's a 4 fill. It should be a 117 for Bryan. We'll check. Yes, it is 117 indeed. Look at that mark run at the end by Bryan Hebert, who went for 5 for 10 in the head pin with 3 splits. 4 marks on the game and a bunch of high-powered fills for a 117 third game and a 3-game total at 292 for Bryan Hebert. Nick Charest with a 36.5 looks to respond. Those 9-drop spares, if you can get on a tear with those, that's just, you know, that's beautiful. That's money right there. Here comes Nick Charest. We'll take the 10 pin out for a 1-drop so far. Next ball for Nick. It's a mix down of a few more pins. He leaves the 1-2-4. It's a cleanup of a 10 for Nick Charest through the 6th at 46. Compare that to 57 through 6 for Bryan Hebert. And Nick's on the head pin. He takes 6 down. 2, 4, 5, 8. The 2 triangle. Diamond. 2 diamond. I failed shapes as a kid. There's 2 down, 2 up for Nick Charest. Field goal, can't give him 3 points. How about 8 as a compensation? That's 54 through 7 for Nick Charest. Nick Charest, he's looking for his first hammer of the match so far. He has 3 spares and 4 10s today. He'll take 2 out here. The 6 and the 10 taken out. And Nick's full on the head pin again. He's been having trouble with the head pin shots in particular. When his ball is really on target, the problem is it just drills forward. And you kind of need some lateral action to be able to take the pins out in the left and right wings, and it will be a 7 for Nick Charest. That's 61 through 8. At this point in the match, Bryan Hebert starts scoring his marks. He had a spare and a 9 in the 8th, which brought him to 84. Nick Charest is currently at 61 through 8. Nick will take the 7 out on the first ball of the 9th frame. And Nick, there's a less full ball, a nice recovery. He'll leave the 5 pin. To complete the 9th frame here. Nick will make it a 10 box for 71 through 9. 1 frame to go. Even with a triple strike, Nick Charest is only able to get to 101 in this game, so that will be another 2 points for Bryan Hebert, who currently has 5 points. Nick Charest with 1 so far. Nick will take 2 out on the 4 and the 7. It's 71 through 9 for Nick Charest. This is for a spare in the 10th. 1-3 pocket, another nice ball, but he can't quite make the 2 and the 5 figure it out. So he's got a ceiling of 81. Guaranteed 79 as of right now. It's another 10 for Nick Charest, 2 10s in a row to end the 3rd game here. That's 81 in the 3rd for Nick Charest for a 3-game total of 255. Bryan Hebert in the lead with 292, with 2.5 games victorious. Currently in the lead in the total by 37. At the end of the 3rd game with 2 games to go for Bryan Hebert here. as we look to move onward to Game 4 of 5. Here on the ACST, I'm Steve Kelly on the call. It's great to have you along at Lakeside Lanes at Candia Road in Manchester, New Hampshire. Would love if you could check out Lakeside Lanes. It's a house both Bryan Hebert and myself call home for many leagues and such. Great cast of people here. We've been bowling here for years and will continue to do so. Do check it out, Lakeside Lanes. Bryan Hebert's full on the head pin, and he'll mix down 7. It's the 7-10-6. Hebert. Oh, he wanted to go for the left side of the right wood to bounce off the right sidewall and kick left. That is the most confusing explanation ever, but trust me, it works. That's an 8 box for Bryan Hebert. Bryan Hebert had a clean 300, 3 games in a box in the total. And he'll go full on the head pin. It'll be a spread eagle minus the 2. 5 go down, 5 stand up. There's Bryan. He'll take 2 off. It's a minus 2 into the gutter. Kicked out 2. So minus 2, whatever this ends up being, minus 3. So it's going to be a 5 box. 13 through 2 for Bryan Hebert. And Bryan nearly with a strike. It is a strike. It's a hammer. Well done for Bryan Hebert. Strike in the 3rd. 23 into bonus through 3. Why don't we have another look-see at this? How did this go? It went to the left of the head pin on the 1-2 pocket. A little full, but still reasonable. The 10 pin was pushed down eventually. Bryan Hebert on a strike fill, and so far he'll take 7 down. 1-2-4. And actually, let's see if he can get any more pins out of it. He'll take another for an 8 fill, leaving the 1 and the 2 on the plate. 8 fill on the strike. For the 10, ends up being an 8 box, 39 through 4. Bryan Hebert's all-time high single is 158. He bowled it at the Putnam King of the Hill tournament. Putnam Street Lanes, Fitchburg, Massachusetts. It's a 4 drop for Bryan Hebert so far. Hebert will shave 2 more off and leave the 1, the 2, the 4, and the 7. The left side 4 horsemen. And Bryan will take 2. He'll take the opposite 2 of the 4 horsemen, leaving the 2 and the 7 for an 8 box. That's 47 through 5 for Bryan. That he'll sit on. So he went 3 for 5 in the head pin, had 2 splits. He's at 43% head pins for the day so far, with 8 splits, 5.7 first ball average for Bryan Hebert with his 47.5. Here's Nick Charest. He'll mix down 8 pins. He's got the 1 and the 9 to deal with. With some wood to the left of the 1. Let's see how Nick Charest plays it. Plays the wood to the left, takes the sleeper, leaves the 9. I mean the head pin. Nudges it down for a 10. 10 through 1 for Nick Charest. Nick will poke 2 out. Right side half Worcester. Next ball's on the pocket. Leaves the 6 and the 10. And he'll take a nice 10 box. 2 in a row, 20 through 2 for Nick Charest. One 3 pocket for Nick. He's still mixing pins down. It looks like it's going to be a leave of the 4 and the 10. And plenty of wood to work with. Let's see what happens here. Play the, ooh. The ball jumped over the lumber, taking 1 out and leaving the 10. This ball is right on target, and that will be another 10 box for Nick. He's got a perfect half going. He's 30 through 3. Nick full on the head pin, mixes 6 down, 4, 6, 7, 10. Play the wood on this in the right way and it can go. Oh, but Nick misses the target. Yeah, he was aiming for the correct side of the wood on the left, but just couldn't quite get the oomph on the ball to get to go over. He plays the right side this time. He'll take 2, and it looked promising for a moment, but he'll take a nice 8 box out of it. Through 4, he's at 38. And Nick will take 2 out for a half Worcester on the right side, the 3 and the 9. Goes over to the left side to take a few more pins out. He's got the 1, the 5, the 6, and the 10 left. And here comes Nick Charest for the cleanup on the 3rd ball. The 5 pin holds on for a 7. 45 through 5 for Nick Charest. So with 300 even, 3.5 games in for Nick Charest. Bryan Hebert's at 339 through 5 with a 47 half. And Bryan starts off with a 5 drop, 4 horsemen in the 8. Hebert takes the 7 pin out, back left corner. And makes it a 10 box for 57 through 6. Bryan has a Caleri to deal with. It's the 1, 2, 4, 7, and 9. It's another 5 drop. Lever pin is just in a different place compared to the previous frame. And he'll take the 7 pin out on the 2nd ball. 1, 2, 4, and 9 left for Bryan Hebert for a 10 box here. And he's on it, but he gets deflected off the 1, 2, and the 4 where the 9 is protected. It's still a 9 box though for 66 through 7 for Bryan. Hebert. Oh, it looked like it was almost on the head pin, but it drifted at the last third of the lane. It's a half Worcester on the left side, a 2 drop. Follow-up ball. Ooh, full on the head pin, chops through. That is a rough leave. 4, 5, 6, 2, 7, 10. He'll take the 5 out for a 5 box. 71 through 8 for Bryan Hebert here. And Bryan mixes down 6 for a 4 horseman left side. The 1, the 2, the 4, and the 7 for a spare shot coming up here. Let's have a look. Oh, just a little off. Takes the middle 2, leaves the 1 and the 7. And finish it off, it'll be an 8, just narrowly missing the head pin, leaving the 1 and the 7 for a 79 through 9 for Bryan Hebert. Final first ball of this game. Bryan takes 2 out. 4 and the 7. Second ball was heading for the pocket, but it had a fast tail. Went into the same hole the first ball went into. Third ball, over correction to the right, and it looks like it'll be a 5. 84 in the 10th for Bryan Hebert. That's game 4 complete for Bryan Hebert. 376 after 4. 92, 83, 117, and 84. Bryan Hebert went 3 for 10 on the head pin with 2 splits. Overall, he's 38% on the head pin for the day. 8 splits overall. He's bowled a 185 on lane 3 and a 191 on lane 4. So lane 4 is slightly more favorable for Bryan. So his opening 5 boxes generally seem to be more powerful than the last 5. Although that last game, though, the end of game 3, 3 marks in the second half, so it's relatively not that lopsided overall. We'll analyze Nick Charest's in 5 more boxes here, but we'll start him out in box 6 here at halfway through game 4. And here he is. Charest. Off to the right with a half Worcester on the right side. The 3 and the 9 poked out. Second ball off to the left. Over correction. 1, 6, 8, 10. 6 down, 4 up. And Charest will make it an 8 in the 6th for 53. On the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. And Nick's on the 1-3 pocket. He splits 8. Maybe he'll break the split. He will. It's a 9 drop, and the 7 pin is left. And Nick fires upon it. And he'll cap that wood, and he'll take the 7, and he's got a mark. No problem for Nick Charest. Let's watch this again. That's actually Nick Charest's first mark in about a game and a half. So he's broken the curse. He'll take the 7 on a cue shot. Head pin, he'll take 7, a nice big fill of 7. It's a triangle. Let's have a look at this. 5, 8, 9. And he'll take out the 8. And leave the 5 and the 9. Ends up being an 8 box for Mr. Charest. Through 8 boxes, he's at 78. He's got 2 to go. Bryan Hebert's total 2 boxes ahead. He leads by 43. And Nick's on the 1-3 pocket. That was a good looking ball. 2-5-8 for a spare leave. You kind of have to cut into the 2 and the 5. Really dig in there. That's going to go off course, though. And Charest, he'll take a 10 box off of that for 88 through 9. Nick Charest currently at 343. Bryan Hebert completing the 4th game with a 376 on that 84 in the 4th. But Nick Charest is in the lead in this game, so he's going to get 2 more points guaranteed as he takes 1 out on the 4-pin. Nick's in the 1-3 pocket. He almost takes them all out. He leaves the 2-pin. And to complete the game with a 10 box, Nick Charest will check in with a 98. 4 games are complete. Bryan Hebert has 5 points. Nick Charest has 3 points with this victory in the 4th game by 14. Nick Charest with a 98. Bryan Hebert with an 84. It's 376 for Bryan Hebert and 353 for Nick Charest. As we move on to game 5, which is worth up to 6 points. Your last chance for the grand total pinfall to take that. And of course, it's always the 5th game as well for 2 points. So a big point sway coming up here. Here comes Bryan Hebert. And he's on the pocket. He's got the 5, 6, 10 to deal with. I like the placement of that wood. That's where you should go. But Bryan will go off to the right and take 2 on the right side. He's left with the 5-pin. And it's a 10 box for Bryan Hebert. 10 through 1. And Bryan's on the 1-3 pocket. He'll mix down everything but the 8-pin. Spare coming up for Bryan Hebert. Let's see if he can finish it off. Yes, he can. That's a spare for Bryan. Watch this shot again. Beautiful. Just kick the wood right into it. Not a problem. Bryan Hebert's working on a spare. 1-2 pocket. Nice ball. Nice bid. 5-10 leave. 8 fill. The wood is covering the gap. Does he get it? Yes, he does. Another spare in the books for Bryan Hebert. He's good at chaining them together this match. He's at 38 and a bonus through 3. Just kind of doinked the wood. It was all in the right place for the spare. And he'll mix down 5 on the fill. 43 through 3 with that 5 fill. On the Caleri, on the 5 drop and the 5 fill, he almost had another spare, but he left the 4 and the 7. Good bid, good try. But he'll clean it up for a 10. He's got a perfect half going right now, 53 through 4 with 1 box to go. That's a fast half for Bryan Hebert with very few mistakes made. He's 3 for 4 on the head pin with 2 splits, 2 10s, 2 spares. And Bryan's on the 1-2 pocket again. Takes 7 out. 6 triangle. 6, 9, 10. What's the play? The play is a spare. Nice work by Bryan Hebert. He's at 63 through 5, plus a bonus. Look at that. Beautiful shot by Bryan Hebert. So through 4.5 games, Bryan Hebert's at 439, 3 marks this half with 2 10s. That's a perfect half for Bryan Hebert. That's 63 through 5 and a bonus. Nick Charest's turn next. Here comes Nick. Seven go down. It's the 1-2-4. Nick's on the head pin, but a little full. Two, 4 for Nick. Result of the play is an 8. Eight through 1 for Charest. Nick's on the 1-3. He'll mix down 7 with the 5 kind of getting nudged a bit. It's the 2-4-5 for Nick for a spare. Let's see what he can do with this. Just a little off target. 2 and the 5. And Nick will take an 8 in the second. 2 8s in a row for 16 through 2. On lane 4, Charest fires. Crossing over, takes 5 out, 4 horsemen right side and the 7 to work with. 1 7 10 3 6. Charest in the 1-3 pocket. Oh, and the mix just doesn't work for him. It's the 7 and the 10. I'm trying to figure out like what it is with some of these balls he throws that look like they're just going right where they should be. But I'm looking at the way the ball rotates as he throws it. Because I'm wondering, like, these full shots he's throwing, like, what is the cause of that? It looks like it's largely a clockwise kind of throw. That'll be another 8 for Nick. 24 through 3. Yeah, I think it's a clockwise spin he puts on it. But for whatever reason, it's just not really quite working at Lakeside. Or at least not today. Nick will take 6 out here. 1 3 6 8. And he leaves the 9 on the spare shot. It's a sleeper that gets left behind. The orange pin. The orange pin pool at Lakeside is always fun. 10 for Nick Charest, 34 through 4. Yeah, the orange pin pool. If the orange pin is spotted as the head pin by the pin setter and you enter the orange pin pool in your league, any mark you throw where the orange pin's the head pin enters you into a raffle. And you can stack up a lot of them. Bryan Hebert's mom, excuse me, let me try that again. Bryan Hebert's mom, Marta Hebert, actually got 5 entries into the orange pin pool this past Sunday in the Sunday Night League. And her Bobby Greco at the front desk here at Lakeside, he was like surprised. He was like, "Why do you keep coming up to?" He's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Marta just keeps hitting it." And yeah, I got to tell you, if you can stack up those entries, you can win money off that. So do think about it. The orange pin pool at Lakeside Lanes, and that'll be a hard-fought 7 box for Nick Charest. That'll be 41 through 5 for Nick. With that score in, it is 63 and a bonus confirmed for Bryan Hebert through 5 and 41 through 5 confirmed for Nick Charest. 5 boxes to go for each bowler here in the 5th and final game. Bryan Hebert in the lead by 45 plus a fill in the total and leads by 22 in the string in the total. Bryan Hebert will lead off with a spare fill of, an eventual mix down of 6. Off target, but got some wood to figure it out for him. 69 through 5 for Bryan. On the head pin, and jumps over the 6 and the 10. It looks good for a brief second. 6-10 lead for Bryan Hebert for the 10 box. Can he stay on? Yes, he can. 6 perfect boxes in a row for Bryan Hebert for 79 through 6. 3 10s, 3 spares. Hebert, oh, it's looking good. He's on the head pin, just lightly on the head pin, but he'll take 7 down. It's the 3, the 7, and the 9. And kicks the wood just a little off target, takes the 3 and the 9 out. Leaves the 7. This will be for a 10 box. And Bryan makes it a 9. That'll be his first non-perfect box of the game for 88 through 7. He's 5 for 7 on the head pin with 3 splits this game. He's 20 for 47 for the day on the head pin with 11 splits. And he'll shave 3 off here. 6-pack plus the 10. Overcorrects a little bit, leaves the 1, the 5, and the 8 now. Ends up being a 9 for Bryan Hebert, 97 through 8 for Bryan Hebert. And Hebert will shave a few more off, 4 to be exact. For a spare shot, just a little bit off to the left of the target, leaves the 1 and the 8. Eight, 9, or 10, kicks the wood, gets an 8. He's at 105 through 9. Bryan Hebert has the 14th highest Class E average at 89. It's the 1-2 pocket for Bryan Hebert. He'll take 5 out. 3, 5, 6, 9, 10. And on that pile of 5, he'll take 3 and leave 2 is the 6 and the 9. So he's at a ceiling of 115 with a 113 guarantee. He'll make it a 10. That will be a 115 final game for Bryan Hebert. So 92, 83, 117, 84, and 415 for Bryan Hebert for a 5-game total of 491 today for Bryan Hebert. 42% head pin quarterback rating, 11 splits, 5.52 first ball average, rolled a 231 on lane 3 and a 260 on lane 4. Totaling 64 in fills, averaging 6.4 per mark with 2 strikes, 8 spares, and 9 tens for a 38% perfect box percentage today. Let's see if Nick Charest can figure things out with a 41 half that he's coming back to bowl his final 5 boxes of the day in this match on the ACST. And we're off. Nick Charest will take 5 out for a Caleri on the left side. 1, 2, 4, 7, 9. Charest first. Caleri's on the outside of the head pin, and he'll leave the 7 and the 9. And Charest, it'll be an 8 box for 49 through 6. Nick Charest, who generally, like I said, he goes 16.5 head pins for 50 per match with 8 splits per match. Currently the 10th highest Class E average at 93.3. The 6th highest Class E total strikes at 20. The 10th highest Class E high series at 506. The 10th highest Class E total spares at 77. And the 9th Class E average spare fill at 5.1. And Nick will take a few more out on the second ball after a 1-drop first ball. Nick Charest recently faced Chris Salmons in round 6, taking 2 points with a 467 series, a 101, a 92, an 88, an 81, and a 105 with 4 strikes, 3 spares, 7 tens. And that will be a 6 box for Nick Charest. 55 through 7. Nick will take 4 out. Second ball for the spare. He'll take out only the 2 somehow. Kind of jumps through everything. Doesn't even take the 4, doesn't even take the 8. Nudging the head pin down. He'll leave the forward slashes at the 6 box for Nick Charest for 61 through 8. Nick to the left of the head pin, but he'll get 7, 8 out of it. All right, he's got the 1 and the 8. Spare opportunity coming up. Oh, and just a little off the head pin, takes a sleeper, leaves the orange pin head pin. Like I said, this would have been an orange pin spare if he got it, to complete that thought from earlier. Hope you enjoyed this match today in the ACST. And there's a 9 for Nick Charest. 70 through 9. I'd like to thank our committee members, Commissioner Danny Finn, our treasurer for Class E is Maurice Perry, statistician Micah Imperato, the staff at Lakeside Lanes as always, Steve Appadilli, who contributed some video content. Check out his work, link in the description. I'd like to thank viewers like you for watching as always. Hope you subscribe to the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour page for more great matches. If you like what I do, I'm 3-Ball Spare on YouTube as well, and Facebook. 4 drop for Nick Charest here, 1, 3, 6, 4, 7, 9. Charest, no mark, takes a 7. Stay tuned after the end of this match, after we go through the final scores for the 3-Ball Spare and 25th Lane highlight reel. So do check that out in a little bit here, as soon as I get the files together. That'll be a 6 for Nick Charest, and that will be ball game. So with that 6 for Nick Charest is now in. He throws a 76 in the 5th with a 5-game total of 429 for Nick Charest. Bryan Hebert with a 491 5-game total. Bryan Hebert takes the total by 62 and wins the string by 39. That's the story for Bryan Hebert today, and Nick Charest, who just had a bit of a rough day. Couldn't find a strike, 4 spares, 12 tens. Threw a 220 on lane 3 and a 209 on lane 4. His favorite lane was lane 3. Bryan Hebert's favorite lane was lane 4 today by the numbers. 13 headpin shots and 26% completion percentage for Nick Charest today with 4 splits, 4.56 first ball average. And let's move on to the final stats. It'll be 11 points today for Bryan Hebert, who will be approximately 59 and 121 by my estimation. Nick Charest with 3 points will take 66. Will go 66 and 116 with his updated record. So here's your updated numbers and stats and stuff. I'll also give you some graphs too. Feel free to pause the video. This is a lot to look at all at once, but if you want to see the more specifics of the match and see where things kind of converged or, you know, evened out or whatever, feel free to take a look at this for the stat package, as we call it. Anyways, so that should just about do it for us here at the ACST. Well, again, I want to thank you for watching, and stay tuned here. I'll get together a highlight reel in just a moment or two. Anyways, I've been Steve Kelly for Bryan Hebert and Nick Charest. It's been great broadcasting this for you today. We'll see you next time. Between 82 and 128. So the ACST is for bowlers of any skill level. And there's Bryan Hebert, and he'll take a strike. And for the spare, yeah, he's got it. And he's on it for the spare. He'll take the, in case he missed it. Bryan Hebert with a 3 drop on the first ball and a spare on the second ball. Next ball determines the winner. And he's on it for the spare. There we go. Oh, nice spare for Bryan Hebert. Here comes a spare opportunity coming up for Bryan Hebert. It looks good, and it is good. And Hebert will get a double spare in a very similar fashion. 103 in a bonus through 9. Hebert will cap the wood, and he'll get 3. And Bryan nearly with a strike. It is a strike. It's a hammer. And Nick fires upon it. And he'll cap that wood, and he'll take spare coming up for Bryan Hebert. Let's see if he can finish it off. Yes, he can. That's a spare for Bryan. The wood is covering the gap. Does he get it? Yes, he does. What's the play? The play is a spare.